Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Combast, and I'm the Development Director at the International Gamefish Association. It's certainly my honor to welcome you all here this evening. It's great to be part of the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show and back at the Westin again. It's been a year since we've done that. Well, not a year since we've done the event, but a year since we've been here. So we want to go ahead and get the evening started. We want to celebrate the accomplishments of these captains that are here with us tonight. And to kick the evening off, I'd like to invite our chairman, IGFA Chairman Roy Croniker, to the stage, please. Come on up, Roy.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Roy Croniker. I am the chairman of the board of the International Gamefish Association, and we'd like to welcome you tonight to this wonderful event. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Johnny Morris and Bass Cabela's, the Cayman Island Fishing Club, the Northern Lights, and others that help make this event possible. Tommy Gifford Awards is one of my favorite events. More before the stories that we hear from these storied people that come and tell their stories here. Too many stories in that. The stories are part of our history as anglers and as fishermen. In the EKF library at the IGFA has many of these stories and many of these events there. And it's our job, in a sense, to be able to keep the histories. This is the way history's passed down from generation to generation. I think you'll enjoy the stories that you hear tonight. I know you'll enjoy the men. I want to thank you for coming, and with that, I'd like to introduce my good friend and president, Jason Schratwieser.
Good evening, everybody. Ooh, that's loud. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. It's great to see a full house again for the Tommy Gifford Awards, to see a lot of old faces, some new faces, and to have a good time tonight. I'm going to make a few opening remarks before I go into some general housekeeping today, but one of the things that I was thinking about this week as this event got closer and closer was it typically takes place pretty close to Halloween. In fact, one year we had it on Halloween. And as a matter of fact, several people in this audience actually dressed up during Halloween for it. But in all seriousness, I think the timing of this event is apropos because it's a hallowed event. It's sacred to us. It's important for our community. Our sport, recreational fishing, is an old but yet evolving sport. And the people that are inducted to receive the Tommy Gifford Awards are the individuals that have been the pioneers and the innovators in our sport. As such, it's important that we take the time to really chronicle their history and celebrate their actions. And this is why I'm so glad that 11 years ago, under the guidance of Skip Smith and his leadership, we put together this event, this award. The IGFA for a number of years, as Roy said, has had awards where we acknowledge people from different sectors of the fishing community, but really to have something that speaks specifically to captains, crew, and guides we thought was very important, and I think it's worked out really well. So I really want to thank Skip for his leadership with that. Thank you very much, Skip. And as Roy just stated, gathering together to hear these stories today, to celebrate the accomplishments of these great people that we're giving the Tommy Gifford Award to today is what we should be doing. To hear their accomplishments, to hear their stories, to hear the stories of their peers is something that the IGFA should be doing. I want to share with you a quote tonight that I'm very fond of. It's a very short one, so you won't have to listen too long. It's very simple, and it goes like this. It's for the doom of men that they do forget. And that's what's so special about tonight. We're here to not only celebrate 5 new individuals that are getting into the Tommy Gifford Awards, but so also we don't forget because we chronicled their history. So thank you all for being part of that tonight. Before we get started with the honorees, I have to take a few moments to recognize the great people that make this all happen. This is a lot of work. It's a fun event. It's I think, as Roy said too, it's one of our funnest events that we have. I'd like to start by thanking IGFA Trustee Emeritus, Johnny Morris, and Bass Pro Cabela's for tonight's presenting sponsor. Johnny, thanks so much for all you do for our sport, for the IGFA. It's much appreciated, buddy. Thank you for being here as well. And congratulations on the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops and myself are the same age. Great. I also want to thank some of our other sponsors as well. I want to start with our Marlin sponsors. First up is our chairman, Roy Cronaker. Thank you very much. Skip Smith, as always, has been a benefactor for the Tommy Gifford Awards. Thank you very much as well. From the Custom Shootout and Smith Merit Insurance. And now on to our Dorado sponsors, the Cayman Islands International Fishing Tournament in honor of Arthlee Evans. That's the table over there, people. That's where you're going to want to hang out later. Hatteras Shots of Latin America, courtesy of IGFA trustee Aj Vicente. Thank you very much, Aj. Sam Hill and Kit Purdy from Northern Lights. I also appreciate your sponsorship on the Dorado level. Thank you very much. The IGFA is extremely fortunate not only to have a wonderful staff here, but a really fantastic board of trustees that are very engaged. Over the last 3 years, we've worked hard to really bolster our board, make it more diverse from every aspect, whether it be from gender, age, geography, etc. And the men and women that are serving on our board right now are the most engaged people that I've ever seen during my 19-year history at the IGFA. So right now, I'd just like to recognize some of our board members that are in attendance. So if you could, when I mention your name, please stand up. First of all, we have Mr. Tim Choate, who also is an IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame inductee. Tim. My good friend Andy Mills sitting right in front of me right now. Thank you, Andy, for being here. Amanda Sabin. And we also are fortunate to have another trustee emeritus in the audience tonight, my good friend Dr. Guy Harvey, who is also an IGFA Hall of Fame inductee. Guy, thanks so much for being here. As most of you know, these events take a lot of work to pull up. People were asking me constantly when I was trying to socialize, how much work was it? I mean, thanks for all the hard work you do. I've got a little part in this, folks. I come up and speak for a few minutes. There is a big dedicated staff at the well, actually, we're not a big staff, we're a small staff, but a good group of folks that make this happen, and I want to acknowledge a couple of people right away. Eric Combast, our development director. Kim Strong, please stand up. You guys have been great. A few more people that are also integral in the process, Jack Vitek and Zach Bellapegna, who also kind of liaised with the legendary captains and crew. Thank you for your hard work and making sure that everything went on scale and on progress for the selection of these recipients. Finally, I would also like to thank the legendary captains and crew committee for all your guidance and leadership. You guys have really done a wonderful job in taking a concept and turning it into something that has worked out exceptionally well. In fact, has exceeded my expectations. So I want to thank you all. And for those that are attending, when I mention your name, if you would please stand up, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, our chairman of the legendary captains and crew, Skip Smith, please make yourself known. Thank you, Skip. We have our vice chairman, Carl Anderson, who will also be our master of ceremonies tonight. Thanks, Carl. We have Bobby Brown, Bart Garnsey, Billy Harrison, I believe you're here today. Steve Lasley, Jack Morrow, and Mike Myatt sadly could not attend today, but we appreciate their work. We also have Charles Perry, CP, you're here, stand up. Bouncer Smith is also here. I believe we got Gary Stuve as well. Nope, Gary didn't make it, sorry about that. Lori Wright could not make it, and Peter B. Wright could not make it as well. I made it! Peter, I missed you earlier. Thank you for coming. Okay, it's time to get the evening started. Tonight, Captain Carl Anderson will be your master of ceremony. Carl serves as the vice chairman for the legendary Captains and Crew Committee and presides over the rigorous selection process along with Skip Smith for the Tommy Gifford Awards. Carl's originally from Beach Haven, New Jersey, which I got to experience the last few years, a great spot, and he began his professional career in 1975. Carl has worked as a journalist, consultant, field tester, marketing director, product manager, fisherman, deckhand, and captain, and I still have more to go. He was a senior and field editor for Saltwater Sportsman magazine, field editor for Marlin magazine, and features writer for other global publications. He's been an IGFA representative since 2010, and he is the chair of the North American Council's Rules and Recognition Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome long-term IGFA friend to the stage as our Master of Ceremonies tonight.
Thank you, Jason. What a great night for sport fishing. I look around this room and see the collection of talent here, and it just boggles my mind that so many old friends are here and such talented people. It's just a heck of a deal. Thank you, IGFA, and everybody for putting this on. It's a heck of a deal. So tonight, we're also remembering Tommy Gifford. Tommy Gifford's considered one of the most innovative blue water fishermen who ever lived, one of the greatest charter skippers to guide anglers in the major game fishes of the sea. He began his charter career in Miami in 1920. Gifford was the first to use outriggers on the East Coast and the first to catch an Atlantic blue marlin with those new devices. Throughout his 50-year career, he developed an encyclopedic knowledge of game fish and the techniques to catch them, and he served as guide and consultant to some of the most famous names in saltwater angling, including Van Camp and Hollander, Charlie Lehman, Michael Lerner, and Ernest Hemingway. Raymond Camp once wrote, "Big game angling has a brief history, but Tommy Gifford's name is sharply etched in every page." In the room this evening, we have several past recipients of this prestigious award. Please stand when I recognize you. Captain Billy Harrison. The pride of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, CP Charles Perry. It isn't Miami without Bouncer. Bouncer Smith, where are you? Captain Skip Smith. And the one and only, great buddy, dear friend, there's only one, Captain Peter B. Wright. So tonight we have 5 new recipients of the Tommy Gifford Award, and it's truly an international group. We have Captain Alex Adler from Islamorada Keys, K-Lex. Captain Beady Eyes on the case. Jesus Araiza. Our friends from the Caymans, Arthlee Evans. Australian Billy Fairbairn, who can't be here tonight, but we'll have a video. And got to represent New Zealand, the Kiwi, John Going. So there's actually a process that we go through to do this. The primary criteria for receiving the Tommy Gifford Award from the IGFA is that the captain or crew must have provided leadership in their trade and have earned the respect of their peers, thus making a meaningful contribution to the sport of recreational angling over an extended period of time. The nominee must demonstrate that he or she has espoused the ethical angling standards that are stated in the IGFA rulebook and by the founders of IGFA. Earlier this year, we lost an icon in our sport and a good friend, Mark Sosin. Mark said it best when he went on in these things and he said, "There is no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. You cannot buy it, you have to earn it." Very true. Behind me on the stage is the Tommy Gifford Awards Perpetual Trophy, and each of these honorees is enshrined on it. The trophy is housed at IGFA headquarters. So now let's start with our first honoree. He's got a lot of nicknames. Big Skipper, Captain Beady Eyes, K-Lex, the famous charter boat K-Lex. So, Cappy, we go back pretty far ways. We used to go tuna fishing in Bimini, and this boat would pull in from the Keys with a crazy bunch of characters on it. And of course, K-Lex was leading the charge with Cue Ball, Old Quincy, and Johnny would come in, and man, I guess Bobby Jones is here. There's just a whole bunch of us just had such a great time in those days chasing those giant bluefin tunas. But to get started tonight, I'm going to call up a guy who needs no introduction. He's a great friend. He's been a role model and a leader in our sport. He's done so much for conservation and been a great friend to me, Mr. John L. Morris.
Thank you, Carl. Does anybody here like to fish? Well, I was kind of counting on that. I kind of figured that. What a happy night, and I just, it's an honor to get to be here. So most of you know, or some of you maybe know, that I live as far from the ocean as you can get in Springfield, Missouri. And so you dream about big fish. If you live at home and you catch a smallmouth bass or perch or maybe a largemouth, that's something great. But anyway, I think all of us in this room, or many of us, are very blessed to share one thing in common, and that's we've been blessed to spend a good part of our lives around the great sport of fishing. And I don't care where you fish, what kind, it makes you happy. Fishing means happiness to me. And coming here tonight, I think from all of us and many people that aren't in this room, Jason, thank you, thank Roy, thank everybody involved with IGFA for your dedication to the future of the great sport of fishing. Jason, you and your team dedicating your life, your talent to conservation and to looking out for our future. And collectively as a team, all of us, you rally us to maybe be a powerful voice to do what's right, to create opportunities that go on into the future. So, Jason, thank you and the team, really, very much. It's awesome. Carl and the whole team that was mentioned earlier, Carl, you, Skip, everybody, so qualified to nominate and vote on or select people that need to be recognized and saluted and held up and remembered forever. And so everybody that receives this special Tommy Gifford Award, congratulations to you and your families. And I was at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame dinner not too long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, and Bill Dance made some remarks to the people being inducted, and he just told them and their families, said, this is forever, because you earned this, and you're carrying on this badge of honor, like being the key representatives of a great sport of fishing. I was coming here today, and I just wanted to ask everybody to stop and think just for a minute around this room about your happiest memories fishing. You're happy. Who were you with? What did you catch? What did you lose? But like happiest memories in your life from fishing. And they're special. That's what's special about fishing. It's maybe big fish, maybe not a big fish, but like the memories that come. And then I just wanted to ask everybody to think too about who introduced you. You remember, to me it was my mom and dad. I grew up in the float fishing capital of the world in the Ozarks. We'd catch perch and smallmouth. But my mom and dad took me and my sisters fishing, and there was nothing like it. And I just want everybody to think about who introduced you. Was your grandpa, your grandma, your mom, your dad, your uncle? Who introduced you? And think about that for a minute. And then think about also, to me, that's the happy times, who introduced you. And that, to me, has a lot to do with tonight and these awards. And everyone who's receiving all these great captains, mates, my buddy Captain Alex, everybody, Jesus and Captain Arthlee, Captain Billy, Captain John, everybody, you think about the happiness and the memories you brought with your life. I mean, you can wake up and spend your day in a dadgum office. And Captain Alex always rubs it into me. We're fishing like, Johnny, welcome to my office here. And it's special. And so what all of you that are getting these recognitions, what you mean more than you know to create happiness. What a paycheck in life to know that you created these memories that people never, ever forget for their whole life and hopefully for eternity. I mean, like, I just think back, like, what do you want to, you don't want to remember bad days, you want to remember happy days. To me, that's what fishing is all about, and just celebrating this. Tonight, I come here, one of my favorite quotes about fishing, I think it was a IGFA member, a guy named Kip Farrington, an angler. And his quote was this: "In a lifetime spent fishing, I've come to realize that it's not the big fish that you catch, but the people you meet and the friends that you make along the way. That's what matters the most." And to me, that just, it hits. So I come here tonight, and I came here tonight from in the sticks to be here because this special guy I met in my life, Captain Alex Adler. And so he asked me to say a few things, so I'm going to get carried on away, but congratulating everybody, but special Alex. So I think he was 17 years old. And Alex, I'm going through this scrapbook, and I tell you what was tearing me up, it brought back memories, your old scrapbooks, right? This hippie kid, he had this boat, it was called Amy J. And is that right? Yeah. So anyway, we go out. I'm with this Rep Don Coffey from Shimano. We go out fishing with Alex. We just had a blast. And then one thing I really thought a lot about Alex was he always had quality mates, like that chick on the left. And then the second thing I really thought highly, Jamie, excuse me, this is a long time ago. Another quality of Captain Alex, he had a lot of good-looking mates. So anyway, I'm glad that Alex is better at catching big fish than he is at hunting deer, but he came up to Missouri. We've been you meet lifetime friends through fishing. So another thing, so that guy on the left was my buddy Osco, and he helped me start Bass Pro. He's an aqua merchant, and we were early customers with Alex. So like he said, he'd go out and there's a lot to being a great captain. You get people excited, but every fish we caught, it's like something's, Johnny, this is amazing. I said, I don't know all these fish. I said, what is it? He said, Johnny, you got to get this mounted. This is a rainbow runner. This is great. my taxidermy bill was like 3 times what the charter was. So anyway, we go on, and man, I got that thing mounted too. So Alex, we've been fishing with him. He calls me, he said, Johnny, do you want to go like big game hunting? Do you want to go fish for a giant bluefin tuna? I had never even heard of such a thing, you know. I said, heck, sign me up, buddy, if it's a big fish. So the guy this picture's later on. Alex, I don't believe at the time had ever caught a giant tuna. I hadn't heard of him, so I just signed up to go. The guy in between us was Alan Starr. And he was like one of Alex's mentors, and he was our coach. We signed up to go to Bimini, and I started reading about these tunas, and I read about Ernest Hemingway, and he was the first angler to catch a giant tuna in the Bahamas, I think in 1936, and I think it weighed 536 pounds. Anyway, he stayed at this place called Complete Angler. So hell, I signed up to Complete Angler. I take my dad and a boat salesman, and so we're go in there, and we're staying upstairs. Well, what I didn't realize, the band doesn't start. I mean, they stop playing at daylight. My dad, he's not real happy. So we get down to the dock, though. I don't care how late we were up. We get to the dock at like 6 o'clock in the morning. No Alex, no mates, nobody. 7 o'clock, nobody. 8 o'clock, nobody. Finally, about 9:30 or 10, Captain Alex and Cue Ball show up. And my dad was not happy. I was not happy. Like, he said, Johnny, we got to have sun to see these fish. Anyway, since that, we just started catching these fish. And there's nothing like, you know, it takes teamwork to catch a big tuna. Bobby Jones, I saw him here. Yeah, we had happy times. And we caught some fish. And what is life? Alex in the kitchen, man, cooking tunas, cooking ribs, being a buddy. It's like, okay, we're going to church here, I guess. Peter B's telling us stuff, but it's just everybody through fishing, conservation. Alex and Cue Ball come to Missouri and catch some trout. We went back and used them for bait for tunas, but grills, there is nothing in life. I got to back up. Let's see. So here's this old guy, John Anderson, in the middle, and his dad, country music guys and famous guy. But man, Alex, they caught those fish. It was the happiest day of their life. So many memories with you, Alex. So many fish, so many big fish along the way. Small fish, big fish. He's relentless, old beady eyes. Look at this kid. Did he grow up with it? I couldn't do that in Missouri, but that's one of my favorite pictures. One of my favorite people. This Kurt Gowdy, people you meet along the way, President Bush, George Hummel, I don't want to be selfish about taking too much time, but we all have our buddies, you know, people you meet that you never forget. And Alex, so I got to back up. There's another guy. This wasn't with Alex. That's Captain Terry Robinson on the left. Terry, buddy, I'm nominating you for this Tommy Gifford deal. But and Richard Childress, another old redneck country guy, and we were with Captain Alex catching fish. Dale Sr. used to come over and tuna fish with us. He had one on one time that broke off. And then my kids, like generational, taking kids fishing. Alex and I went one time to the Outer Banks up in Charles Perry's country, and we caught 31 big fish one day. And just, Alex, what you mean to me and my family. There's Carl, like JP's first sailfish. My little girl Megs. She just, buddy, you make people happy. All you captains, every one of you, what's your paycheck in life? And then that's my grandson. And so there was a T-shirt some of the mates used to wear, "The Torture Never Stops." That's my grandson. His name's Tarpon. And Alex took him out for one of his first fish, but he wasn't so happy. And then this not long ago, Alex calls me about some tunas coming through the Keys. And I said, man, I don't think I can make it. I'm staring at the wall, the ceiling at like 3 in the morning. I said, buddy, I'm coming. So we go out, and this great crew, Alex's beautiful, sweet daughter, Allie, and Nick, and this different folks, Captain Terry, and we go out, and we got this tune off the keys. And that was like right out of Islamorada, right in his backyard. And it just, Alex, he'd always scream down from the tower like his cue ball and me and everybody. He'd say, and he still does, he goes like, listen to me, screaming down like directing orders. Alex, listen to me. I love you, buddy. Everybody have a happy night.
Oh man, those pictures, a lot of memories. So we have another great speaker tonight, another Islamorada icon for sure. Most of you folks will know this guy, Richard Stanzik. Will come up here and say a little bit about Captain Beady Eyes.
Well, as was mentioned, my name is Richard Stanzik from Bud Mary's Marina, probably better known as Nick Stanzik's father nowadays. Now, it's interesting. I guess Johnny really stole a lot of my thunder. I was kind of thinking about what I would talk about on the way up here. I'm glad I made a couple of notes. It's funny, I got a call from a young lady, and she said, you're invited up there, a guest of Alex to speak at this dinner. And then she said, is there anything you need to know? And I couldn't really think of anything, so I said, well, where is it? And she said, the only two things she said to me is don't take up too much time and wear a button-down shirt. Well, this is a $50 t-shirt, just so you know that, because I don't really own a button-down shirt, I don't think. Oh, brother, I'm gonna put my glasses on here. It's funny, there was a picture that flashed up there on the screen, and it really touched me. I met Alex, I think he was about 11 years old. And what I remember about him, he had this full head of red, bushy hair, probably enough, more freckles than Howdy Doody. Many of you guys will remember that. And he always smelled like a fish. And I know, you guys know how many tournaments Alex has won and how many great fish he's won, and traveled all over the world, but maybe the side of him you may not know, as that in my mind, Alex is the definitive charter boat fisherman. A lot of great captains have come through Bud Mary's, Jimmy Albright, Don Gargiulio, Cecil Keith, Skippy Nielsen, even my brother Scott. But I'm going to put Alex right at the top of the list because I've been watching Alex go out of there for 44 years. I think he's made 15,000 trips down that channel. I have never seen a day where he did not greet the people with incredible enthusiasm. I rarely see a day where the customers don't walk up and hug him. Like Buddy taking care of that boat, Alex takes care of the Kalex. Kalex is 50 years old, I think, or 45 years old. It's an old boat, but I guarantee you, if you go look at it, it looks brand new. Alex has that kind of discipline and passion and love of fishing. And I think maybe one of the more important things is the number of people that have come across, Alex's path, many of which, have gone on to be professional fishermen, and the example, that he sets.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Alex Adler, and as you know, I am speaking tonight on behalf of my father, Captain Alex Adler. As I speak, you may notice that my speech differs a little from others you'll hear tonight, as I am not a fellow angler, a longtime client, or a mentor, but rather someone who has grown up observing the behind-the-scenes perspective of my father's success. From a young age, I've had numerous people ask, what's it like having Alex Adler as your dad? In the back of my head, I'd think, well, we watch that Weather Channel with the robot voice. He talks a lot about these things called bluefin tunas, and he smells really fishy when he gets home from work. However, as I got older, the answer to that question changed significantly. When asked the same thing today, I usually smile and say, I'm very lucky. But in no way does that short statement exemplify the level of gratitude and pride I have for my father and his work ethic. I have watched trophies come through the front door. I have seen countless fish hanging from the spikes under the Kalex sign. I have read the newspaper and magazine articles from before I was born, but I've also seen far beyond that. I've been home the nights that he arrives well after dark, thanks to hours in the engine room. I've watched the days off after fishing 30 straight when he wakes up and goes to the boat anyway because you gotta keep up on the old girl. And I've been part of the yearly conversations that we have that go something like, Dad, I really think we'll survive if you don't fish a half day on Thanksgiving. Or come on, why don't you take the day off? It is your birthday. By now, you're starting to get my point. While I'm always proud of a tournament win or a heavy fish on the dock, there is so much more to what has him sitting here tonight. His dedication to the sport, his humble nature, his willingness and enthusiasm to share his knowledge, and most of all, his ability to think like a fish amaze me every day. One memory stands out as a combination of these characteristics. Just over a year ago, I made fun of my dad at dinner time as my mom and I watched him in his famous hands-on-hip stance stare out the window as the trees moved a certain way, and he told us, girls, there's gonna be some giants out there tomorrow. Less than 24 hours later, I received a text from someone aboard, and needless to say, it was a picture of a bluefin boat side. Funny enough, there were in fact some giants out there. Some congratulated, some brushed it off as luck, but he was focused on the next day when myself and dear friend Johnny Morris were aboard. After releasing the second one in 2 days, more congratulatory remarks flocked in, and his most common response was, Johnny and Allie were with me, what a special day. To me, that short story itself unfolds each aspect of what I said a minute ago: dedication, enthusiasm, knowledge, and humbleness. Dad, I thank you for the examples you've set, the fish stories you told, and most importantly, the time we've spent together on the Kalex. I will never forget hearing, hey, don't break a nail, every time I pick up a rod, or, oh boy, your mom must have taught you to cast like that, every time I cast a bait. With so much of your heart put into fishing, you have never made me feel anything less than loved. You deserved every bit of recognition that you're getting tonight, and I hope you know I'm your biggest fan. Thank you.
Come on up, Captain Alex.
Allie, that was very heartwarming. Johnny, Richard, great stories. All the crewmen I've had for all these years that got me here. It's not just me doing it. Appreciate everybody coming out, coming from around the world. Thanks so much for the honor.
The next Tommy Gifford Award recipient is Captain Jesus Araiza. Learn a little more about Jesus. He passed away in April of 2019. His family is carrying on the legacy, and with the help of Captain Skip Smith and IGFA Representative Gary Graham, they recorded their acceptance on his behalf.
Today, we're here to recognize the great accomplishments of Captain Jesus Araiza and bestow upon him the Tommy Gifford Award. And a little bit of background on this. This award was started in 2011. Skip Smith was instrumental in getting this process started. We've had awards for years that have recognized people that have made great accomplishments in the field of angling. Most notably, our Hall of Fame, which also has great captains and crews and people that have supported the sport and really made it better. But under Skip's leadership and others, we felt it was necessary to create a separate award that really focused on the people that were the innovators, the creators, the drivers of our sport that really have advanced it and made it what it was. And today we're here to talk about your grandfather, a truly great man that accomplished a lot. And as Skip will talk about, is recognized by his peers.
Tonight, I'm honored, along with our committee, Steve Lashley, Bobby Brown, Bart Garnsey, Charles Perry, the whole committee that goes through all this with us. We're so honored to present the IGFA Tommy Gifford Award to Jesus Araiza. To quote Mark Sosin, there is no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. You cannot buy it, you have to earn it. Here to introduce Captain Jesus Araiza is IGFA representative Gary Graham. Go ahead, Gary.
He became part of the evolution from the very beginning of what sport fishing has become in Baja. And as we all know, it has now become quite a sport. Right now we're in the harbor at Los Cabos, and we've got 200 boats that are going to go out on a tournament tomorrow, to give you some idea of the number of people that we have in this vicinity that want to fish. But anyway, he was the first guy to tag, one of the first tag and release guys for the state of California's program. And he was awarded 21 times for being the top captain of tagging more fish than any other captain for the year. So he was very much into it. He was awarded the High Skipper Award, like I said, actually it was 19 times. Like I gave him two extra, but
He deserved it.
beyond that, he had a reputation not only of being good, but he also got along with all the other skippers, and he was quite willing to show them what he learned and to show them. He also became famous as a ultralight tackle guy back in the day, long before it got as easy as it is now, or as far as equipment as it is today. In those days, he had people, Ruthie Camion, who had set several records on 8-pound and on 12-pound back then when nobody was fishing that stuff. So, but then when we came along, of course, my wife was a big ultra light tackle fan. So Jesus used to come to our house every night where we had a home. But he would be there for cocktails every night. And when we were there, and if we needed anything done at the house, he was happy to do it. He was so popular that he was booked several seasons in advance back in the 60s and 70s, when that was still, sport fishing was just starting to get started. And he fished out of East Cape, out of the Rancho Buena Vista area. And he fished at Rancho Buena Vista. He was the top skipper at Rancho Buena Vista, and that's where he met the original tag and release people from California, and then started that. He retired in 2008, and from that he went to work he stayed day to day. He was fishing with his sons and his grandsons. And everybody, when I told everybody that this was happening, they all kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, "Why not? He's the guy. He's a great guy. He's done a lot," and we all remember him. And today, his grandson Tony wins his own tournaments with his owner, and he fishes a lot of the tournaments. In fact, we're keeping them from they didn't pre-fish today because I made them stay here until we got this over with. So he would have been out there looking for them, and tomorrow's the beginning of the Bisbee Black and Blue. And just for the record, they're 10 million on the line this tournament, which is the most I think that I've ever heard of. And anyway, he passed away. Jesus passed away at 79. I saw him briefly just before that, but he was a wonderful man, and he made a difference in sport fishing in Baja during his entire life.
That was Jesus' grandsons accepting the award for him. All right. Now we're going to go down to the Old Cayman Islands. Our next recipient is Arthlee Evans. Arthlee's longtime friend, Clarence King Flowers, unfortunately got the flu, wasn't able to be here. But we have a little bit of video, so we're going to roll a quick video.
Yeah, I got to know Arthlee first at the airport when I was growing up. I would offload freight aircrafts at the airplane, and Arthlee was a fireman, and we spent more time waiting on the airplanes to come than it took to get them offloaded. And during these long waits, we would end up gathering and chit-chatting with anyone who didn't have anything to do or who wasn't busy at the time, and the firemen, the fire crew was some of these folks. And once Arthlee was there, I was there, we inevitably ended up talking about fishing because we both had the passion. After his career in fire service, Arthlee went on to be a police officer, and he carried his passion for fishing with him. I remember on one occasion I was going across the harbour in Georgetown, and I saw the police launch coming in. It was a 20-foot Bertram, single gasoline inboard, I believe. And thinking it was some police activity, being inquisitive, I wanted to go see what was happening. And as the boat came in and they threw the lines, there was Captain Arthlee in the police launch. And he had a beautiful catch of 3 yellowfin tuna, a nice fish, all over 60 pounds. And you know, it was interesting to see Captain Arthlee fishing in the police boat, but that wouldn't surprise us too much. But I think what was really of note on that particular trip was the crew that Captain Arthlee had. Being short of crew, he had sprung 2 convicts out of prison to take on his fishing trip to crew for him. So that was something that stands out in my mind about Captain Arthlee and his passion for fishing. After his career in law enforcement, and the dive industry was developing in the Cayman Islands, Captain Arthlee started his own business, and he had a dive operation with a number of boats, and some of the boats, at least one, was rigged to cross-utilize. It was a 34-foot sport fisherman, and he chartered it and he fished a lot. I started chartering his boat a lot, and we got to know each other better at that time. And as far as his career in diving go, Arthlee was with some of the pioneers. He helped pioneers scuba diving in the Cayman Islands behind people like Bob Soto and Adrian Briggs and a few others. When about this time, there were 3 fishing tournaments happening in the Cayman Islands, and Arthlee, fishing out of Teresa D, dominated the tournaments for the most part. And then some of the politicians realized there was some potential in sport fishing, financial advantages for the country, and they got together with a group of enthusiasts who could actually put the tournament together. It was Bill Rewalt, Captain Arthlee, and 3 or 4 of his friends, and they founded $1 Million Month, and that operated very successfully. It brought a lot of people here, and the $1 Million Month then morphed into the Cayman Islands International Fishing Tournament, which it still operates today very successfully, and it's run by Mr. Frank Thompson, who's expected to be in the audience tonight. It was during the International Fishing Tournament and the $1 Million Month, mainly the $1 Million Month, that Arthlee got to know some very renowned fishermen and worked with them to develop fishing techniques, mainly light tackle. He helped with the bait and switch, and I know they were pursuing a blue marlin on fly, and they did break a few world records. So he played a role in that, and his fishing skills developed quite a bit during that period. Captain Arthlee also did some fishing in Jamaica. We went to the Port Antonio tournament for a number of years. The first year we chartered a boat there. The second year we took his boat over and fished. The first year we placed second in the team tournament, and the second year we won the team tournament. As I mentioned earlier, Captain Arthlee, but actually he was a first responder all of his life, as I remember it, or as I know. And on one of these trips to Port Antonio, but when he finished his career with the police, he also became a special constable. And on one of these trips in Jamaica, I remember we were in a nightclub, and this young man simply would not leave us alone. He insisted that we buy some of his premium Blue Mountain tobacco, if you know what I'm talking about. And we had no interest in that. And finally, Arthlee pulled out his special constable badge and flashed it at the young man. And I do believe that young man is still running. He took off at such a speed. It was on the same trip. That would have been the first trip, because we rented a van. We had a lot of tackle in the van, and when we went back to the airport, there was this mess, traffic jam really at the drop-off point. And we were trying to figure out what to do because we were running late and could have missed our flight. And Arthlee said, let me handle this. And he jumps out of the car and goes up to the police officer who is marshalling the traffic at the drop-off point at the airport. We couldn't hear what they were saying, but it was a short conversation, and then a flash of the special constable badge. And then the next thing I know is whistle is being blown, and all of the cars are being pushed aside. And I was driving the van, and we're called in to the drop-off point. I'm telling you, it was just like the Prime Minister had arrived or something. So Arthlee really knows how to use his badge. I believe he's probably got it on him right now, I could be wrong. Arthlee also played a role in the development of sword fishing in the Cayman Islands, which was actually headed up and organized by Captain Bouncer. Arthlee was, front and center in most of it, and played his role in helping us get that off the ground, which was very successful, because these days a restaurant can look forward to having locally caught swordfish on the menu regularly, and that's something that Arthlee played a role in introducing or developing in the Cayman Islands. These days, Arthlee spends his time fishing in Cayman Brac, which is one of the lesser islands, and he fished for a restaurant in Cayman, and he supplies it with just the freshest fish, mainly wahoo, tuna, mahi, and a variety of red snapper, yellow eye, vermilion, and the queen snapper. And it's very much appreciated. We get a good variety, and it's very much appreciated by the operators and patrons of the restaurant. I would like to say, as Arthlee's friend and fishing partner for most of my life, that I believe this award is very well deserved, and I would like to thank everyone involved in making this happen, in particular Captain Bouncer Smith. So thank you very much.
So we are honored tonight to have the Minister of Tourism of the Cayman Islands here, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan. If you come up and say a few words.
Good night, everybody. Now, I'm a politician. I normally speak a very, very long time, but I promise you I won't do that tonight. The truth be told, I feel like a fish out of water. No pun intended, but I think the biggest fish I ever caught was probably like a 2.5-pound mutton snapper, so I don't have a lot of stories to tell. But I'm here on behalf of a population of people of just over 70,000. And I must say that tonight is a very, very special night, because the IGFA is a part of a very, very big family. And the Cayman Islands is a very, very small place. And for this association to highlight and honor one of our senior game fishermen in the Cayman Islands, and I say that because I remember when I was a 7-year-old boy on the waterfront, going out to what we call the red spot and seeing Mr. Arthlee Evans teaching many of the Caymanians about what it takes to bring big game fish into land. And for him to be honored by his peers. We try our best to honor our people at home, but to honor him in this setting is a big, big deal on behalf of the people of the Cayman Islands. So I'm up here not only on behalf of the people, but on behalf of his government, his premier, his cabinet, the members of the opposition, his Angling Association, who runs the tournaments right now. And we are all so happy to be here to support him in this very momentous day for Mr. Arthlee Evans. And just in closing, I want to say it's ever so timely because I'm the new Minister for Tourism, and my Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Heather Bodden, who is known in our community from a fishing perspective, has said, it's time for us now to bring back game fishing to the Cayman Islands. And I said, okay, let's make it happen. Let's go down to the next conference to start to build momentum again. And what better way to do that on the spark of the very first Caymanian, little small, little population, very beautiful country, and our first Caymanian to be nominated. So the government of the Cayman Islands will be putting together some serious initiatives to bring back sport fishing to the Cayman Islands. So look forward to hearing that. And again, on behalf of the people of the Cayman Islands, Mr. Arthlee Evans, thank you, and we're proud of you.
Very nice. Awesome. And real quick, Mr. Guy Harvey, Dr. Guy Harvey, wanted to say a couple words. If you'll come up here. He knows a thing or two about this guy.
Mr. Minister, you are correct. We all want to honor Arthlee, but not only is he the first person in the Cayman Islands to join this prestigious group, he's the first person in the English-speaking Caribbean to do so. So it's a great, great honor. And do check it because, I mean, many of the other Caribbean islands are Spanish-speaking. He may be the first captain in the Caribbean, excluding Venezuela, to be inducted. And he's joining the likes of Charles Perry, Barky Garnsey, with whom I fished, Laurie Wright, Peter Wright, and all the other famous captains, Bobby Brown. You are in very esteemed company, Arthlee, and you absolutely deserve it. You are our old man of the sea in Cayman. Ernest Hemingway would have learned from you. You've taught everybody in the Caribbean how to fish, and especially you're very good with the kids, and that we really respect. And remember one thing, this is forever. Congratulations.
I thank everybody, and especially my government. This trophy does not belong to me. It belongs to the people of the Cayman Islands. When I get this trophy, it goes to the Department of Tourism. They're the ones that put all the money in the Cayman Islands so we can fish. I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for International Game Fish Association rep. I met him in the Cayman Islands, I think it was 1987 or 88. I was sitting on my boat, and his name was Bill Rewald. And I saw this man coming aboard the boat with a 30-pound rig in his hand. And the guy on the bridge with me said, I hope he's not intending to put that in the water. Anyway, we left, it was during a tournament. And we got out there and the tunas were jumping all over the damn place. It was, I mean, right and left. And After 10 o'clock, we didn't have a strike. So Bill looked up at me and he said, can I put my line, put this? Well, when we got out there, the guy came off the bridge and gave Bill an 80W. He said, he's not going to put his rig in the water. So we couldn't catch any fish. Bill looked at me and he said, can I put my line in the water? I said, yeah, go ahead. Put a goggle eye on and run it out. And when it was running out, the fish almost jerked out his hand. He fought the fish, and I knew it wasn't 20 minutes, a 60-pound tuna was in the boat. The next morning, there wasn't a goddamn thing bigger than 50 pounds on the boat. Everybody that had horse equipment, I call it, just got rid of it. And from then on, we were using 30s and down. Bill Rewalt was the one that brought that to the Cayman Islands. And he was the IGFA rep in Bermuda when he came to the Cayman Islands to work. I learned so much from Bill Rewalt.
Our next Tommy Gifford Award winner is a well-known deckhand from one of our favorite fishing countries, Australia, Captain Billy Fairbairn. Billy couldn't join us tonight due to his health and the strain it would have put on him to travel here. So we have a little bit of something to tell you about. Billy's nickname is the Mayor of Lizard Island. People say that not just because he was there the longest, but because he represented the fishing fraternity that called Lizard Island their home for a few months of the year. He was known as a great crewman for his ability to manage the deck, to communicate with the captain and other crew, and was quiet and dominant. Perhaps Billy was best with the anglers he entertained. When the fishing was slow, he would train his clients to keep them ready for the bite. And when the bite came, his calm demeanor and words of wisdom helped his clients through the tough battles that ensued. Perhaps one of those most famous battles was IGFA Hall of Fame inductee Ted Nafsker. Billy guided Ted to victory during a 3-hour fight on 50-pound test, resulting in a 1,046-pound black marlin. With the help of IGFA representative and legendary captain and crew committee member, Captain Lori Wright, we have a video tonight of a law presenting Billy the award. Please roll the video.
On behalf of the President of the International Game Fishing Association and the Board of Trustees and the crew committee of the Legendary Captains and Crew Hall of Fame, I'd like to present you as the 2022 inductee into the Captains and Crew Hall of Fame. This award, the Tommy Gifford Award, for outstanding achievement and what you've achieved and done for the game fishing industry here and around the world. Now, this was voted upon by your peers, so captains and crews voted you in on this, and you can thank your captain Bill Edwards for assistance as well. So congratulations, Billy.
Thanks, Laurie.
Yeah,
appreciate
very
it.
much earned.
Thanks to all the fishers of the world for saving me from a real job. Thanks to anyone involved who nominated me or put me in this position. It's a dead set honour to have this. There's not much more I can say. I'm not in real good order at the moment, but thank you very much. And hi to all my mates in Hawaii and mainland America. Hope you keep catching them forever. Thank you.
Our final honoree tonight is Captain John Going. John is a long-standing member of the New Zealand sport fishing community. He is here with us tonight with his family members, all the way from New Zealand. Good deal, North Island. I'd like to invite John's daughter, Jan Haraldson, to the stage to tell us a little bit more about her dad and his accomplishments and share a few words on behalf of IGFA Representative Peter Saul.
Haere mai tēnā koutou katoa. No Northland, New Zealand a whole, no rea tēnā koutou katoa. Haere mai means welcome from New Zealand. I'm from Northland, New Zealand, where John and Val are from too. And therefore, greetings to you, greetings to you, greetings to you. John Joseph Lawrence, my dad, was born and grew up in a small town called Matawarau, a small farming district north of Whangarei. I was born not far away in a small place called Ruatongata. John started catching eels and crayfish as a child in the fresh waters around the farm. He lived and then later developed a trucking business that he sold to move into the charter boat business. Whangarei is a small town in Northland and the gateway to Tutukaka, a fishing mecca in the North Island of New Zealand. John's parents sold their farm and invested the Tutukaka guest house, and the family's fishing interests developed into the realms of game fishing. As a child, I was often with my brother on the floor of a fishing launch, riding out a rough sea on our school holiday fishing trips with John and Val. John has owned many boats, which we all would holiday in the Northland waters, before he bought Kitty Vane, and then later as working people fishing in Tutukaka or Northland for Whangarei Deep Sea Anglers Club. To name a few, Hijinks, Pasadena, Morina, Kitty Vane, Delray, Makaira, Rikariko, and Aotearoa. We always towed a lure on our way to our destinations, no matter how rough it was. Then we would line fish, swim or row ashore to collect shellfish when available. Early morning and evening swims, no matter what the season, like freezing cold, it didn't matter. Fresh fish and seafood for dinner. John and Val moved to Tutukaka to focus on John's dream of running a charter launch that came to fruition when John purchased his brother Hugh's Kitty Vane launch, which is named after a notable artist who holidayed and painted in and around Tutukaka. John would often drive Kitty, the painter, place to place in her automobile, as she couldn't drive. John chartered from Tutukaka, allowing tourists to experience diving at the world-famous Poor Knights Islands, line fishing, and of course game fishing. He was officially chartering for 47 years. The Poor Knights Islands are now a reserve to conserve the wildlife and sea life in and around them. The Going family has over 150 years of history in Northland, based around agriculture and fishing industries, in which John's case have become a lifetime passion and lifestyle. We have infamous family members such as the Going brothers, Sid, Ken and Brian, who are all Blacks. I don't know if you've heard of rugby, players for many years travelling the world. John and Val have always had an adventurous nature, so night classes in celestial navigation enabled them to safely sail the Pacific Ocean. As part of these adventures, they sailed by yacht with a friend to Australia, ran their charter boat Kitty Vane and Delray back and forwards to New Zealand to the Kingdom of Tonga, chartering Monday to Saturday. Exception was Sunday due to religious beliefs. Lots of sightseeing trips there on those days. You never caught a fish, apparently. As part of the honour to fish, the king would receive marlin for celebrations. With his brother Wynne, John and Val travelled to Fiji, Samoa and Tonga, to name a few islands on the MV Tuturangi or the MV GPS. Then they returned to New Zealand. John and Val have been involved in the tagging and release programs as they developed through Whangarei Deep Sea Anglers Club, based at Tutukaka, of which they are now both life members. John also received a Queen's Services Medal for his recognised contribution to tourism, particularly game fishing, Also involvement in search and rescue operations in New Zealand and Tonga. One time he was out there saving 2 people that shouldn't have been there, of course. Big wave came in, whack, all the front windows out of the boat were gone. And he can't swim, by the way. John has been involved in the boats longer than I have lived. His passion is still strong and continues fishing on his current boat, Outer here. John and Val still live in their hilltop home overlooking Tutukaka Harbour entrance, where they witness the sun rising and setting daily. Thank you. That's about my dad. And then Peter Saul is a friend of ours. Carry on? Okay. He's actually one of the IGFA representatives in New Zealand, at Tutukaka, New Zealand. This is his words. I was lucky enough to travel from New Zealand to Tonga with John on 3 occasions. The first was on Kitty Vane, a 1950s era traditional wooden 42-foot displacement launch, and the later 2 trips on Delray, a newer semi-displaced launch of similar size. That's men talk, ladies. Travelling from our home in Tutukaka to Vavau in northern Tonga is a challenging voyage, consisting of 1,100 miles of completely open ocean to port and customs clearance in Nuku'alofa, followed by another 200 miles of sheltered boating to the top of the Tongan Islands. The captain and crew must be fully self-reliant. There is nobody to call for immediate help in the event of an emergency. At a fuel-saving 7 to 7.5 knots, the trip takes a minimum of 6 days and nights. When conditions allow, a diversion off course to visit the manoeuvre reefs is a magnificent experience. On each trip, we needed to lash drums of diesel fuel to the cockpit because the built-in tanks were not large enough to hold enough for the whole trip. All windows were protected with perspex in case of severe weather, and the cockpit of Kitty Vane was completed closed in with PVC cover over a wooden framework for the same reason. You can expect big following seas on the trip north. Once committing to the voyage, there is no turning back, nor anywhere to run for shelter, with the exception of the 2 small manoeuvre reefs, 2/3 of the way there, but well off the direct course. These reefs are fully submerged at high tide, but even so do provide relief from heavy seas. Travelling is seasonal, and due to cyclones, hurricanes season, the boat must return to New Zealand each year. Travel north is in June and the return is by October. The return trip is more challenging, as in the southern spring there is a high probability of encountering strong southwesterlies on the last few hundred miles back to New Zealand. John is a consummate navigator and seaman, and like all his family, can make or repair almost anything that breaks on board. I never felt anything but safe on our voyages to Tonga or on the fishing trips we made while there. This recognition by IGF, I feel, is well earned. Thank you for your time.
That is some salty stuff. That's incredible stuff. John, come on up. Get your Tommy Gifford Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go ahead, say something.
I can't.
Yeah, say something. You're a Kiwi. Come on, man, you got it in you.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be here and a great honour to get this award. I never expected a little old Kiwi like me to attain such an award. I'm not much of a speaker. Unless I've got a radio telephone microphone in my hand telling another boat to get out of the way or something like that, then I seem to find a voice. But no, it is a great pleasure, and thank you all very much, and particularly IGFA for this award. Thank you.
And that about does it. On behalf of the legendary Captain and Crew Committee and the IGFA, thank you all very much for joining us and honoring these great, great guys. Incredible stuff. And it's an honor to have them here with a family.